All right, everybody, I am back with a brand new DC update today. And boy, did my last video anger a crap ton of people. And I'm not going to get into some of the comments that were made, but boy, it's like they come to the comment section like cockroaches. And what's hilarious is that Batman vs. Superman is a 7-year-old movie and is still being talked about today, while other films are not talked about. And we're actually going to look at a comment that Zack Snyder made a couple of years ago that angered a lot of people. And we're going to talk about how this affects the fandom and what they believe. Now, it's important to understand that I love Batman vs. Superman a lot, especially the extended version. It is phenomenal. It is a multi-layered film that has a lot going for it. And when you watch it, you realize just how sinister Lex is and how he knew about everybody before the movie ever started and how he manipulated everything to go down the way it did. And it's just a well put together film that did go over a lot of people's heads, but is a phenomenal, incredible film. And DC has not put anything out on that level. The only thing that comes close to that is The Dark Knight, which was also multi-layered. Nolan is an amazing filmmaker, and he was the producer on a lot of the Zack Snyder films. And everyone talks about how with Suicide Squad, I talk about how horrible it was, and it was a big bomb. They say, oh, it was COVID, oh, it was this, oh, it was that. Well, you know what really affected Batman versus Superman was the fact that the studio butchered 30 minutes out of the film. Everybody who's seen it agrees that the extended edition is way better, and it would have fared better at the theater. There are people that come in and say that critics have no weight, and they certainly do. It was the critics' score that kept people from going to the theater. It did have a massive second-week drop-off, but still made over $800 million. There are not many movies that could say they had a second-week drop-off that came to make over $800 million. And Batman vs. Superman certainly did, and had the right version been released, it would have made even more. But let's take a look at a couple of the pictures that I grabbed today. Also, before I show you the pictures, it is important to note that I do have some unboxings coming up. Yesterday, I did an unboxing of the Keaton version of Batman for the Flash film, and I showed that, next to my Lego Batmobile, and actually, I think it's about the right size. In that video, I talked about how the Batmobile was too small, but it's not. It's actually the right size. It's just that the Lego version has 2 seats in the cockpit, and the McFarlane Batmobile only has 1 seat in the cockpit. And if you look at it that way, it is the right size. And he looks pretty cool standing next to that Batmobile. But I did get the Bat Cycle today from The Flash, and I do have the Affleck version of Batman, and I did an unboxing of both of those, and we'll be putting those videos together over the next couple of days, so you guys could take a look at that. All right, with that said, I'll look for those videos shortly, but let's take a look at some of these photos. All right, so here's the first photo I wanted to show today, and this is unfortunate if true, but we're going to talk about this a bit. It says, a new report has indicated that Superman and Lois may not get renewed for a season 4 due to the CW's new business model. This is very true, and I kind of predicted this a while back in a previous video. The CW is no longer, their demographic are not teenagers. Their demographic are 55 to 65-year-old males, I believe. That's their demographic now. And so this show is not expected to live on there. Now, DC and Zaslav did indicate that this show could go on to about a season 6 or so. And if that does happen, I have a feeling that this show is going to move over to something like HBO Max. And it'll finish out its time there if it does continue. And I'll be honest with you, I'm still in the middle of season 2. I haven't even started season 3. But this show has some incredible production value to it. It is way higher in budget than some of the other productions. And it's actually really well done. And so I'm actually enjoying it quite a bit. I really liked season 1. I do have a review for that here on YouTube. And I'm going to review season 2 when I'm wrapped up with it as well. I'm also halfway through. I'm on episode 7 of, the Titan show on HBO Max. And I will tell you that it is probably the best season of Titans. I really hated season 3. I have my review for every episode up for that. I'm not doing an episodic review for season 4, but I'm going to do a wrap-up when I am done with it and talk about how it is the finale of the show as well. So most of the DC shows are coming to an end. Now, here's the main reason I was doing this video today, and this is an interview that Zack Snyder had a couple of years ago. And this actually got everybody talking a couple of years ago, and it was interesting. Somebody asked him, since Justice League, there have been other DC movies, like Aquaman and Shazam, that have gotten more enthusiastic reviews and made more money. Does that sting for you, that your films didn't achieve that? Well, that's kind of a half-truth here, and here's the deal. Way more people went to see Man of Steel, Batman vs. Superman, and then it started to drop off, and then Aquaman got a bunch of people to go see it, but Shazam did not. The issue is, yeah, the studios made more money because they made them on a cheaper budget. And it looks it. It's more generic. And that's kind of the point that Zack Snyder is going to make in his response. And his response is brilliant. He said, I couldn't be happier. It doesn't sting for me at all. Those movies are cool, and they're really well made and excellent. But Batman vs. Superman, love it or hate it, it's probably the most mentioned movie in hashtags and references. It's the closest thing to a cult film that could exist at this level of pop culture. Am I a provocateur? A little bit. Is my job to make some pop culture piece of candy that you eat and forget about the next day? Nah. I'd rather F you up in a movie than make it nice and pretty for everybody. Let's be frank. There's no cult of Aquaman. Jason is a force of nature, and by all means, I want there to be 100 Aquaman movies because he's an awesome guy. But it's not controversial. And I have purposely, because I love it, made the movies difficult. This is 100% true, okay? His movies are way more layered than some of these other films. These other films are just go in, watch them, and it's getting old, and it's why there is superhero fatigue. His movies he was too early for his kind of films. This would be gold today had this stuff come out today. And again, it's just a shame we're never going to see the Batfleck Batman movie, which would have been amazing. But Zack was going for something different, not just the eye candy that everybody is expecting when they go to see these movies. And I made that very clear in the last video I did. Now I'm going to show you one more picture for something, that I talked about at the beginning of the video. So here is a picture of the Bat Cycle from The Flash with Ben Affleck's Batman on it. And I'm going to be doing a review on this over the next couple of days. I'm going to do the Bat Cycle tomorrow, and then I will release the Batman on the Bat Cycle the next day. And so I filmed those today, and those videos will be up over the next couple of days. And if you haven't seen it, I did do a video on the Michael Keaton Batman that I wanted for the Lego car that I mentioned at the beginning. All right, so as everybody knows, Zack was never going for something just regular. And a crap ton of people went and saw the movie at the beginning. And yeah, possibly could have made more if he went straight with it, but I actually enjoy a much more layered, nuanced film as an adult than just seeing superhero fare like Marvel. It's getting old. Like I talked about in Guardians of the Galaxy, the special effects are just very generic. They're cheap. And it's because the studios are just banking on it to make money. They're not so concerned about giving the audience the best experience they can get. Zack was trying to give you an experience that you'll never forget. And Batman vs. Superman is going to be talked about for many more years to come. Whereas Guardians of the Galaxy 3 won't be. It'll be talked about as a good franchise, but it won't be discussed the way Batman vs. Superman has been. And I think that is definitely a positive for Zack. His films are always talked about. If you go back and watch something like Watchmen or Sucker Punch, there's many layers to those movies. They're not just straight action films or just comic book movies. He's trying to make something that people will remember and can dig into. And that's what he did with Batman vs. Superman and Zack Snyder's Justice League. He gave an experience that no other filmmaker is going to give. And I'm sorry that some people find it boring or not interesting. I'm sorry it didn't have fart jokes in it. I'm sorry it didn't have dick jokes in it. I'm sorry it didn't have full frontal male nudity. That's what you can expect from someone like James Gunn. So I am terrified about where this is headed, and I have made that very clear. All right, so there's kind of my update for the day. As more news gets released, I will be bringing it to you. I do appreciate the support. If you haven't already liked the film, subscribe, hit that note, or like the video, subscribe, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, and you will be notified as I have new videos go up.